From painting her shag carpet as a kid to owning two of the most successful design companies on the planet, let's hear Cynthia's story. Welcome to Decision Points. I'm Doug Hudson.
I'm Scott Wood.
And Cynthia Collins, we're so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for including me.
Absolutely. My only regret is that it was actually my wife's regret. She wishes she was sitting right here.
I wish she had joined us.
Talking to you and getting to know. And I can think of several friends of ours and ladies that had this opportunity. And that's one of the reasons why we do podcasts. So it's a lot more accessible. You are the founder of Collins Interiors and co-founder of Blueprint. And you have been quite busy and quite successful. So thanks for making time to share your story and journey.
Thank you.
Where were you raised? Where are you from?
I'm from Dallas.
You are? What high school?
I went to Highland Park.
Okay. All right.
I was born there.
You're a Scotty for life, aren't you?
My dad was born there.
Oh.
My grandparents are the founding members of Perksy's Baptist Church.
Are you kidding me? I was on staff there for 2 years.
So
not really. I worked the activities,
but it is like they were here too. So my dad was born on Amherst.
I worked in the activity center when I first moved here. That's hilarious. It's the first time I ever saw those. Were they called turtles? There's like scooters that you'd sit in on the gym floor.
It makes it go. I don't know how it works.
It's the coolest church I've ever been to. That's incredible. No way. What were you into in junior high and high school?
Well,
nothing illegal. You don't have to share that here.
Everybody now has all these amazing things that they do, and we did not do that. We had a lot of fun, and we rode bicycles, and we, learned to paint. And I had a big painting section in my bedroom with shag carpet, and we decorated, and we didn't do all this.
So
it was not hard.
Do you paint today?
When I have time.
Yeah. Maybe you need to make more of that.
I used to paint a lot more than I do now.
You did? Yeah. It's very, very cool.
So did you paint on the shag carpet? Yeah. So, because that's what's going through my mind is I'm like, she's painting on the carpet, so there's going to be paint.
And my mom did not care.
Did not care. Yeah.
No.
Was your mom an artist? Where do you think, where did this come from? What, mom or dad or not?
Neither.
Why?
It was just super fun. My mom was she was always present and always cooking and always a part of the community, but she was not strict in the home and allowed you to just be free to.
Great environment for a creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did your dad come home and get mad at his wife for allowing you to paint the shag carpet?
No.
Not that you knew of?
He was a lawyer and he didn't have time to think about that. No.
He was like, I got other battles to fight.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the least of his concerns.
Either one of them still with us?
My mother just passed away. My dad is with us, yes, and still lives in Highland Park.
Amazing. How's he doing?
He's doing well. Thank you.
It's awesome.
Brothers and sisters?
He is 89. He has always been active. He left his business and became mayor here, and he has always been on boards, and so he's not, he didn't just do a hard stop and start golfing.
He's always been a part of something bigger than himself. Good for him. Heck of a role model.
Brothers and sisters?
2 brothers, both here. One, if I back my car out of my driveway, I back into his.
Incredible. It's incredible. Where did you go to college? Did you go to college?
I did. I went to the University of Texas.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Love every day.
And still loving it every day?
Yes, I loved it every day.
All right. How long have you and Bruce been married?
35 years.
Yeah, where'd y'all meet?
We went to high school together.
Oh,
yeah.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You met in high school and you dated just all through high school?
No, we were friends.
You were friends?
We were friends.
Okay.
All through high school, all through college. Started dating towards the very end of college.
Okay.
So we were
He finally
great.
got courage after 8 years to ask you out.
Well, he tried. He tried. He was a good gift giver and pursued. And we were at different colleges, and I was enjoying what we were both enjoying what we were doing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Y'all have kids?
3 boys.
Yeah. Where are they up to? What are they doing?
They are growing up. One is 31, 29, and 27. So 2 are here and 1 lives in Colorado.
Very cool. Grandkids?
No.
Any of them married?
No girls.
Oh.
No girls. I have all the girls at the office. Mm-hmm.
You do have.
I have lots of girl families.
Yes, you've chosen those.
I have.
Yes,
I have, but they're real. They're real family.
What we named this, Cynthia, decision points. What are some decision points that left a mark on you? And sometimes it's like, I'll never do that ever again, or I always want to create a habit doing that. Early, junior high, high school, are there some critical decision points you remember that helped shape you?
Like I said, freedom to create. I always worked. I always enjoyed working. My parents did not give money freely.
Yeah.
And so I always loved fashion. And so in order for me to get what I wanted, I had to go work. And so I enjoyed it. I went to college, always worked in fashion, and never felt like it was a burden.
Oh.
I enjoyed it.
Yep.
I enjoy a challenge. So I think always being in a creative environment and then marrying that with business has always been part of who I am.
I love that too. And I don't know how quickly your mom and dad realized if she was painting the shag carpet, they might have realized that pretty quickly. I think, so many times creatives struggle to find a way to make a living doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you pragmatically had to figure that out at junior high or high school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm creative. I like fashionable things. Oh, and I have to pay for it myself. What was your first job?
I worked a long time ago. There was a store called Harold's in Highland Park Village.
Absolutely.
And I was in 9th grade and got a job there. And our house wasn't very far from there. So
did you ever learn how I knew a guy that worked for him way back in the day in Norman, that he was in charge of scuffing up the white bucks.
Oh.
Did you ever do that?
No, I was in women's fashion.
They didn't scuff the white.
That was somebody else's job. Is that your first job?
No,
because you like fashion.
Yeah, it's not my first job.
All right. How long did you work at Harold's?
All through high school.
No way. That's so cool.
Yeah, we had a great time. But you learn to work on Saturdays and after school and those things. So your time management is important. And that was from a very young age.
When did you start Collins Interiors?
When I left college, my first job was an interior designer. She was really good.
Here in Dallas?
Here in Dallas.
Yeah, what was your degree in college?
It was communications and art history.
Okay.
And back then, we didn't have computers. And so what the girls are learning now in the interior design field is very highly intricate when it comes to what you're learning on the computer.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what they do for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I learned to draw by hand because that's the way that we were taught. So I started with an interior designer who needed help, and she had great jobs and she didn't have an assistant. And so she was a little bit in over her head in that way.
Yep.
And it kind of forced my hand and her hand to be more engaged in the process.
Did you start with her as soon as you graduated?
As soon as I graduated. And she also traveled. So that was a big part of my learning curve, was going to England, going to France, learning what to buy, how to ship, how to price, going through customs. And so that's very much in my wheelhouse now.
Yeah.
So it was training for something else. My husband had a really bad car accident, and he was coming home from my house. We lived maybe 5 minutes away from each other. It was a residential street. It was a beautiful sunny evening. The street he was on is not highly trafficked. And so as he was coming down, there was a car full of boys playing chicken with their lights off. They were going 80 miles an hour. And that when they got to the corner, they turned their light off. So it hit him in a way that propelled him probably 40 yards on his head.
Yeah.
So at the time, our only trauma hospital was Parkland.
Yeah.
So this is the craziest thing. A guy in our grade that graduated with us was the driver of the ambulance and did not know who he was.
Oh, my goodness.
And, even being there, did not know who he was.
Couldn't recognize him.
So, they have to find out their IDs and stuff. And so it was, I've heard him tell that story several times. But anyway, he went into a coma and life was going to be very different. So he has a traumatic brain injury, paralyzed on one side, cognitive, issues, aphasia, things like that.
And you guys were not married at this point.
We were not married. We were engaged.
Right.
And we were to be married. But obviously that did not work out in our time frame that we were expecting. At that point, we were just living at the hospital.
Y'all are 22-ish?
22.
Wow.
So when I got to the hospital, there was probably 150 people in the waiting room because we were at that age where you're all about
still everybody
friends.
Connected. Yep.
Absolutely. And they haven't left us.
Amen.
They have been quite the support system our whole life.
Yep.
It's one of the reasons why when I back out in my driveway, I go to my brother's house and my sister-in-law because they followed me throughout my life every time we moved.
Incredible to be close to you.
Yeah. So I say that because we were talking about decision making and why we moved to something else. So it made me all of a sudden realize this is not for fun. This is not, a phase. I have to support myself and him. And how am I going to do this? I have no true skill sets. Yes, we went to college, but it's not like, what I was making would not even pay a doctor bill.
Yep.
I couldn't, put dirt in my flower beds or, pay the electric bill. And so it was a shift for me, a decision point for me to move in another direction and start becoming a business owner.
So, and go ahead. Just so during that time, during that season when you were making that decision, was it like acute? Like, okay, no, I'm like tomorrow, it's a new program. Or did the decision sort of happen over time, a realization over time? Like
the acute part was, I've got to make money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you knew that from the moment of the accident, probably pretty soon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
The decision of building a company, I wasn't capable of doing that at that point in time. I didn't have what I needed to do to accomplish what I needed to accomplish. I stayed there for 7 years and learned and learned. It's very expensive when you make mistakes with really high-end clients.
Yeah.
So I stayed there. I learned to travel for work, not
exactly. You were working.
I learned to
traveling to cool places, but you're still working
all day. I mean, you're there at 5 o'clock in the morning with a flashlight, freezing to death. So it's
so romantic, right? It's amazing. Yeah, everybody's like, oh.
You're eating.
No, I'm grinding.
You're eating out of a food truck. Yeah. No, it was great, but I just mean I was learning. I was in a learning curve at that point. It took me 7 years to learn what I needed to learn in order to break off and start my own.
But you also had that perspective. again, I think this is why thank you for one, your just transparency and your honesty in the process. Is you weren't like going over there and just working hard too. You knew everything you were learning, you were going to have to put to use as quickly as possible. And that's your perspective had forever been transitioned, I guess.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and so one of the questions I have is during that 7 years, I mean, obviously post accident, you realize I've got to make an income. I've got to provide for our family. And then at what point during that 7-year journey did you go, okay, I'm going to go do this on my own?
When I got pregnant.
Yeah.
With my oldest child.
Yeah. And was that to be in control of your schedule, or was it?
It was both.
Financial? Yeah,
it was both.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how many years in was
that?
Yeah,
exactly. How many years? Yeah.
7.
Oh, that was year 7.
That's year 7.
So prior to year 7, you're like, this is great. I'm working with this other designer and I'm her employee and doing great things and I'm learning, but really no thoughts of going out on your own.
I did have thoughts of going out on my own. I just wasn't ready.
Yep.
I didn't have the skill set needed at that point.
But then when the first child came, by hook or crook, you were going. And you felt like you had learned enough, plus now you had another reason it was time.
Yes, and I was blessed with 2 amazing jobs and 2 architects that were different, 2 builders that were different. And back then, that's how you built your business. You built them through the architects and the builders. If they know that you are good at what you do, then you will be referred. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have, you did your portfolio. Your portfolio was taking someone to see your work or being referred.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's very different now.
And so just to be clear, at this point, are we talking residential? Are we talking commercial? Both? Residential. So it's 100% residential all the way through.
And they were both new builds.
Yeah.
So
I want to go back one step. You're in college. Where did interior design come from? Did you start to know that? Was it really just you took this first job with an interior designer and you weren't exactly sure if that was the career path for you?
I was very interested in art and art history.
Yep.
And so I was able to travel and see these things, firsthand. And the interest that brought me led me to reading and learning. And when you're doing that, it kind of morphs also into architecture.
Oh, yep.
So when you are interested in art history, there is an architectural side to that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was an interest. I won't say that when I first started with this woman, that I was going to be off to the races doing interior design, but I knew I was going to be in a world of creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you started your business 7 years later, did you think of yourself as a business owner and entrepreneur, or were you a designer just trying to hustle some jobs?
I was a designer, not hustling jobs because I had the jobs, but 2 jobs that are new builds for a newbie is enough to carry you
for a while.
Yeah. And I worked really hard on those 2 jobs and did not expand to small things. I just kind of kept my focus on the bigger job.
And did those jobs come to you before you'd actually exited?
No, after.
So you exited.
It was a gift.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's awesome.
You put up your shingle and obviously you probably
showed up.
Yeah. And you knew those 2 architects.
No, I knew the homeowners.
You knew the homeowners. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. It's the connection. Then you have to prove yourself.
Correct. Network got you in the door.
Right.
Talent, hard work, and grit has built 2 companies. What is the essence of interior design, in your opinion? Highly educated and experienced opinion.
Well, simply put, it is if I worked for you, I would want you to come into your home, feel comfortable, be inspired, be able to entertain, be able to gather family in a way that is enriching your life.
So good.
I love that.
It's so good.
Really good.
it's such a home is such a significant part. We have a dear friend who his wife just passed away from cancer, and she has 2 pieces of Blueprint's art in her home, and it has significantly shaped the 2 key rooms in their home. What do you do when the client doesn't know what they want?
You educate them and you show them options and you see their response to it. And you're also coming from, what does the architecture look like? What city are we in? How do they live?
Yep.
So if you don't know what you like, are you very casual? Do you entertain big groups? Do you?
Yep.
Everybody lives very differently, so I'm going to get to know them and what their goals are, and then I've got to teach them by exposing them to things.
Sounds somewhere like wealth planning.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
It doesn't.
So you got those 2 jobs, and those carried you for a year, maybe year and a half, something like that, and then I'm sure along the way other people started coming to you, and then the business just sort of took off in the air. Yeah. So how many employees today?
There's 12 of us at Collins Interiors.
Yeah.
And we really enjoy what we do. It's hard work, but they're fabulous, and we lean on each other. We collaborate together. You're not a solo designer. I'm asking questions to them. We're interested in each other's projects. So we have a lot of business. So we've been blessed in that arena. So we don't have to work real hard at trying to get them right now. Mm-hmm. But there is also a degree of knowing how much you can delegate and then stopping and say it's enough.
Yep.
We don't need to do anymore, or our work will suffer. So
interesting. So learning when to say no to business, which is really difficult for any business owner. That may be the answer to this question, but what are 1 or 2 of the key challenges? And I want to talk both Collins Interiors and Blueprint, but for the moment here on Collins Interiors, what are 1 or 2 of the key challenges?
We work with high-end clients, and there is a level of expectation, and we want to reach that, but there are some things that we cannot give them. Mm-hmm. And being able to be able to communicate what we're doing and what make sure our expectations and what we're doing line up. So communication, and very clear communication, is a challenge to some, but it's important that it's part of our process.
Pretty important up front, I guess, is what you're saying there,
yes.
right?
Yes.
How often do you and a potential client look at each other and just say, I'm not sure, and maybe you say it, maybe they say it, we're not a fit?
Very rarely, but we talk money right at the very beginning.
Interesting.
And we talk budgets, we talk, what the systems are that are in place, so that we all understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
So now today, how many years old is Collins Interiors?
30 plus.
Wow, incredible.
No, that's not right. 30.
30.
30.
30. That's well, you were close.
Yeah. 30.
Just take off the plus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we started Blueprint 13 years ago. So
what? Go ahead.
4 of the women that worked with me are partners. So the 4 of us started, and then we added Leslie Jenkins, who was a friend of mine who lived in Tyler. We grew up neighbors when she lived in Dallas, and we traveled together and bought on a very small basis to sell. And so we've been good friends. And so we brought her in. It was a very natural, easy relationship.
Did you start Blueprint intentionally, or did it organically kind of grow? Because here you are running Collins Interiors, which is very successful. What's the genesis and how did Blueprint come to be?
We were buying a lot of antiques at the time overseas and selling them to our clients. And it was a very lucrative business because you knew what you were buying was being sold.
Yep.
So you didn't, there was...
You weren't carrying this inventory or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So we decided if we have this much interest with our clients, let's try it with the public. And it was during the recession of 2008. So I think a lot of people thought we were cuckoo to do it, but our business was still going good. I think our business in 2008 was one of our best years. So, we kind of were coming from a different point of view.
When did Blueprint start? Did it start in 2008?
Yes.
Did it really? And congratulations on opening a new store in Austin now, correct? So
yes.
Dallas and Austin?
Yes.
What does that team look like, Cynthia? How big is Blueprint at this point?
Probably 40.
Wow.
And describe for our listeners what Blueprint is.
Blueprint is a store, and it started in a home. And when I say a home, it's an 100-year-old home in a business district here in Dallas.
Yep.
And we are in this tiny pocket where we call it kind of a donut hole, where this little area can't have alcohol and food. And so it's a one block.
Interesting.
And so it was a really nice area to be in. It helps to show your goods in a home rather than in a big
showroom
warehouse.
Yeah.
So we started that way. And then we are really creative. So we have way crazy ideas all the time. We still do. We have to process those ideas. You get five creatives in a room, and we're just off to the races doing things that need to be pulled
in a little bit. Yep.
So we ended up getting a house next door, again, over 100 years old, and it became a gallery. So that was a natural transition because it's art.
You didn't really start with the gallery. It was more furniture.
It was furniture, and there was art in there.
Okay. Yep.
And then we opened a full gallery that is 2 stories, and all it is art. And then every year we've added a little something different.
Yep.
Some things work, some things don't.
Yep.
And some ideas get taken away due to they're a little off base.
Yep. What is it like? I'm so fascinated, Cynthia, and just your accomplishments and your vision and your willingness to try. What's it like owning Cynthia Interiors by yourself? You're the CEO, essentially you are. And then over here you have 4 or 5 other owner partners. What are some, again, we know one's not better, one's not worse. What are some of the nuances and differences as we speak to leaders? A lot of our business owners probably have multiple businesses. Mm-hmm. What's that experience like? Talk to them about maybe some mind shift you have to do. Make sense, the question?
Absolutely. So when you own something by yourself,
you own it by yourself.
You got to get to do what you want, right? I mean, to some degree, you don't have as many checks and balances.
Which can be good and can be bad.
We only have 12 women. I couldn't have a 13th or 14th or 15th without someone else, in charge. It just doesn't work for me. I can only handle that many.
That's interesting. So as a leader, you feel like 12 is the largest amount of head count, so to speak, that you can really manage with you being directly in the day-to-day. 100%.
Yeah.
That's your number. I think that's
my number.
That's a value.
Well, span of control typically is, 5, 6, 7 people, and then you need to have another, leader in there to help. So at 12, if you're managing all 12 people, that's a lot for one person.
We're about to hire someone else. And so 4 of the girls will manage her solely.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but my goal is not to be very large.
Yep.
Our what we do needs to stay a little bit more, controlled, I think. So anyway, the other, you find you've got to give in to people. You don't get your way.
Yep.
There's 5 of us, which is nice because it's not an even number and we're all a little different. Yep. We're different ages. I do feel like with that, with 40 employees, we have some really good people we have a CEO, a COO, we have somebody, an accountant in-house handling everything. We have management positions over several people. So it's very different.
So none of the 5 of you are the CEO or COO?
No, we meet twice a month for very long meetings. Today's meeting is 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then we listen to each other. We play off each other's ideas and then try to figure out, where we need to go with this.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say you guys, the team of 5, is the inspiration for the business and the inspiration for all the creativity, and then really the rest of the organization implements what you guys come up with?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we just started a showroom down in the design center. It's very large. I think it's 35,000 square feet.
Wow.
And so we are involved in the creativity side of that, the getting in there, changing it up, figuring out what works, what doesn't, how we need to change. And
when you have your meeting like today, is that the 5 owners and your leadership team?
No, today will be the 5 owners and the CEO.
Okay.
And we'll be doing an EOS training afternoon. So she needs to be there.
Yeah. What is EOS?
It is to simplify it, it's a way to look at systems in place that can help you focus in on your values, what you're going to do with your values, how you're going to grow. There's a book called Traction we're reading right now that's part of that.
So the question I have is, you got these creative ladies over here, 5 of y'all. You have an organizational system in place with a CEO and a COO and a finance person, and then, an organization of 40 people in total. On Collins Interiors, you have 12 women. You've said all creative. Like, who's running the show from a
they're
business?
They're not all. I have one. We have an in-house accountant that came from a big firm. But I think what happens is, going to a small firm is probably looks like a career negative, but the lifestyle is.
I'm sure it gave that accounting person new life.
Well,
sure.
we have some balance.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, again, too, they get to see now what a business, get into the culture of really running a business as opposed to running the books over and over and over and over again for some companies.
So how long have you guys been implementing EOS and Blueprint?
I would say...
How far in are you?
Not very far, maybe 3 months.
Okay.
Oh, Braylon, it's awesome.
Brand new. So can you see a day where you might implement it at Collins Interiors?
Not to that degree.
Yeah.
It's a different...
because
I think to some of it, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
you'll bring some of the principles over.
Right.
But right now, your vision for Collins is to keep it boutique and niche and small.
Yes.
Where Blueprint, sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I asked you earlier, when you started Collins Interiors, were you an interior designer or were you a business owner, entrepreneur? And you said, I was an interior designer. And I said, hustling business. And you said, I wasn't hustling. But so today, do you still consider yourself an interior designer, or do you consider yourself a business owner, entrepreneur? You have 2 businesses. Can
I be both?
You can be.
100%.
I think I'm both on both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't take them apart.
Right.
They're all together.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really cool because, again, Cynthia, I think where you're your story is so inspiring and challenging to anyone, male or female, creative and business person integrating those. And I just can't get over a gift that your mom and dad gave you. I'm sure you didn't feel like it was a gift when they made you go get a job at Harold's in 9th grade, but you have so many creatives, they put themselves in a box and don't figure out how they can make a living. I just want to sit and paint all day long. Okay, but if someone doesn't pay you money for that, then that's a hobby. A career is someone who's taken that creative and figured out how to not just give you and Bruce and your 3 sons a house and food and clothes, but think about the careers that you're building at Collins and Blueprint. I mean, there's 60, 70 people that you all have provided a way for them to earn a living. That's awesome.
Well, it gives me a lot of purpose.
It should.
Absolutely.
It does. It gives me a lot of purpose to feed into women that can now afford their homes and their cars. And, you know, they can be single if they want when they're 40 and be able to live a life that they want to live.
That's great.
Full of purpose, fulfillment.
Absolutely.
What we're producing is of value to people. It's really cool.
So a question and then maybe a comment or maybe 2 questions, depending on how you answer the first question. So the first question is, so in EOS vernacular, there's a visionary and there's an integrator. Who's the visionary for Blueprint? Is it the CEO?
It's the visionary is the 5 of us.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, that's perfect.
If we ask the other 4, would they all say the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So you all, because you all agreed that that's your role?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then who's the visionary at Collins Interiors?
Me.
And who's the integrator?
For designers that are taking a lead role in the office, as my hope now that they've been there 12, 15 years is that they can take what we've started and grow what's under them. So when I'm not doing it anymore, that they are still, that they're learning to delegate, they're learning to lead, they're learning the financial side of it. Those 4 can do it.
Yeah.
What's a healthy conversation look like between the 5 of you all at Blueprint? And I think you know what I mean by that. What is a healthy, I'd imagine a day, you said there's a reason why there's 5, not 4 or 6. What's a healthy conversation look like? What are you all discussing, debating, arguing, having because so many of our business, Mark and Scott, it's 50-50. So who breaks that tie?
Right.
I'm not sure.
Right.
So
a healthy conversation would be, okay, next door to Blueprint, there's a house for rent.
Did a tree fall on that one like 3 or 4 months ago? Y'all had a big tree.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Did it hit any of the buildings?
No, but it hit a customer's car.
100%. It was smashed on the car.
So next door, we thought this is going to be great. Instead of Blueprint, we're going to have something next door to us called Footprint, and we're going to sell shoes. So,
God, I love this already.
Right? Yeah.
I love this.
And we love shoes. We all love shoes. This is going to be great. We're going to be the place where everybody comes down and buys shoes. And you could tell, the CEO was like, this is terrible idea. This is not in our wheelhouse. This is not.
Did she say this pretty quickly? Did she say this or not?
She usually says it pretty quickly, but we all, have to dive in, and we have these crazy ideas sometimes that have nothing to do with what we do.
Yeah.
And so some of it sounds like, oh yeah, that's kind of a good idea. It's just getting you distracted from what you are good at. And it's not a good idea, but we have to all communicate through it. We laugh, we talk about it, we have these grandiose ideas, and then it kind of settles down, and then facts come in, and the everything kind of fizzles out in that this is not a good idea, but it takes us a while to get there.
Because it's really hard. We call, in business, you talk about tangential businesses. This is what's that one? Starts with an A.
This is just a quarter turn off what we're doing.
Correct, but it's called.
Or we love shoes. We can make a business out of it.
100%. We're really good at buying shoes. You're right.
Yeah, I like the name. It's creative.
Why did you decide it wasn't good?
It's not. We need to be focused on what we're doing. We are growing every year with another branch, and we need to do what we're doing and get that branch up and running and do it well. We don't need to get more. We get real sidetracked because we have these wonderful ideas. We think they're wonderful.
Scott and I have this conversation often, the difference between innovation and distraction. And it's really difficult to manage the two.
Well, and the power of EOS, which you're learning, is this tension that lives between the visionary and integrator, right? And in your case with Blueprint, the visionary is 5 people, not 1 person.
Yeah.
But you could just, roll all the 5 of you into, one, sort of governing body or idea generating machine. And then your CEO is really acting more like the integrator.
Absolutely.
And so they're the, we call it the gas and the brake. Right. There's always a gas pedal and a brake pedal in a good partnership or good structure, and you need both.
What's the vision of Blueprint? If you have your VTO, what's the vision of Blueprint?
Now we're growing. Right now, this year we started that 35,000 square foot showroom and Blueprint all in 1 year. Last year we started a wedding registry that's 3 rooms. Every year we do a little something, and right now, short term, it's to not do anything and to get all of those in a really good place and get the kinks out and figure out how to grow those. In the long run, I think we'll probably grow. I think we will move into, we have some markets. It seems like some good markets in Houston, Atlanta. We've talked about Chicago, but we're just going to do it one.
I know in Northwest Arkansas, you have a strong following.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be on your short list, but I know you have a strong one, the power of the internet.
So what's interesting is, when we talk about this at True North, is you guys have come up with some plays in a playbook.
Yep.
The wedding registry is a play in the playbook, right? You don't need to create any more plays. You just need to run the plays that are in the playbook and scale through multiple locations, it sounds like.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Have you come up?
But I think the goal would be to do that, not open 3 in 1 year, but just make sure that we're doing it right.
So we'll let you to Austin. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Have you come up with your BHAG, your 10-year goal?
We do that today.
You get to do it today. Sweet.
Will you call us tomorrow and we'll sign out? We'll put let I get. Or what is your idea? We'll see if yours wins in the 5 person.
I was about to say that'll be the funny part. Everybody will have a different idea, but we'll get there.
What do you think the 10-year goal should be? Remember, this isn't dropping for a couple months, so your partners can't listen to it.
Exactly. I think we'll be in 10 locations.
In 10 years.
In 10 years.
Yeah. Awesome.
What led you to Austin? Because Austin is the first one outside of Dallas. What led you there?
We have trucks and a warehouse here. So we wanted to do something where we could keep our inventory in Dallas, see how it's working in Austin, get there easily once a week in a day. Get it down there, set it up, get the truck home, and continue business without having to think about warehouses. And also, I have several clients there. And so we have a basis of design that's already in that location.
So I want to go back to something you said 20 minutes ago, but you were talking about your team at Collins Interiors, and you said you have 4 ladies that are really taking leadership and ownership and hopefully learning the skills so that one day, and you didn't elaborate on one day, but you just said one day, kind of left that open-ended. So let's talk about one day. So what is your kind of long-term vision for Collins Interiors for you or for the team that's there? And then same thing with Blueprint. And do you think about exiting or selling either one of those businesses?
I think that Blueprint is sellable.
Mm-hmm.
We have made it that way.
Yeah.
We have, if we stepped out, it would do great.
Yeah.
So we've set it up so when we're ready to sell, there are multiple, we have an e-commerce, we have all the different
plays in the playbook.
Yeah. So I think that will be sellable and we will sell.
Mm-hmm.
Collins Interiors, I will probably not sell, but my role when I'm 70 will be pulled back and have more balance than I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't foresee leaving, but I would love to. I want my hand in it heavily right now, but as I age, I would like to age out of it and still be a advisor.
Mm-hmm.
This is really critical because so many of our business owners, in some ways, Blueprint is ahead of the game. And I want you to react to this. If you feels like Blueprint, you started, with 25 years experience and you started with 4 other women. I'm sure some of them probably had business experience as well. That one you almost intentionally built for an exit, so to speak. You may never sell it, but it's built for an exit. Collins Interiors is that first career, that first job. So many of our business owners listen to this. Are you actively thinking through working on a transition plan? Because I think one of the struggles we have in business is is there a vision for Collins Interiors to last after you're gone? If it is, I think this is one of the hardest things for business owners. We need to start that way sooner than we always think to, right? It just feels, it's so heavy conversation. Well, yeah, but I might go out and get hit by a bus today and I didn't have those 10 years to put that business plan in place. Where's your thinking on Collins Interior and how that transition might be happening? Are you actively?
I'm actively trying to train leaders to learn how to delegate. I think that we are lacking in that as women. It's hard to communicate clearly and not feel like you're being unkind. You need to be clear when you're delegating information and figure out how to not overlook when you're delegating something and do it yourself, but get back to the person and explain why this isn't working. So right now we're working on leadership skill sets because they've been used to managing their own clients. So it's 2 different roles. So managing their clients, that's easy. They've got that down. They've got the skill set of that down. But the business side of being a manager of others is a different skill set. So we're working on that right now, and we're meeting on the regular to discuss those things.
So the question I have is around valuation for Collins Interiors, right? Blueprint, pretty easy to value. There's revenue, there's profit, there's margin. Cynthia Collins Interiors is more of a, it's not a lifestyle business because it's a big business. You got 12 people, but it would be easy for the entrepreneur for you to think, there's not much intrinsic value in this because if I step away, the business kind of maybe slowly dies, even though I have these wonderful people that are working and running the business. But there is value. There's value in the brand that you've created. There's value in processes. There's value in systems. There's value in intellectual property, intellectual knowledge that you have about all the things you described earlier about where to go to find the antiques and how to bring them back and, all the things that you've learned over all these years. Do you think about monetizing the business or do you think about, I'm going to sell this to the next generation, or how do you think about that?
You sound like my dad because every time we visit, he was a partner at Strasburger and Price. And so he wants to set up a partner situation at Collins Interiors and monetize it. Mm-hmm. And he keeps telling me, how important this is. I right now am I would need to make people partners, and right now when I have a client, they want me in the meeting, and so we're working on getting me more in an advisor role, and the girls are way capable of doing the work. Mm-hmm. They're not only creative, but they don't even need me.
Yeah.
But sometimes the client wants the face there in the meeting. So that's the tricky part of figuring out how to get the client 100% comfortable with a designer that's been there 15 years, I can't do any more than she can do.
Correct.
But getting them comfortable with that is a tricky thing.
Are you the primary, what we'll call rainmaker or lead generator for the business, or are leads coming into your other designers as well?
It's usually just coming into the business in general, not into an individual.
Yeah, that's great.
So we have a design form. It comes through, and then we read them every week, and then we respond to them.
Yeah. We haven't talked revenue or profit margins or anything like that, but I'm sure revenue is good and healthy, and I'm sure profit margins are healthy. There's value in your business. Your dad's right. And there's a lot of different ways, to create structure. But to Doug's point earlier, like that conversation, at least in your head, needs to start earlier than later. That's the whole reason we're doing the Decision Points podcast, is to help entrepreneurs begin to think about exit. And I always say, even if you don't exit, like if you don't exit and you don't sell, you bought it. Every day that you don't sell it, you bought it because you own it. It's yours. And so make it as valuable as it can possibly be. And then one day,
Cynthia, this is so, sorry.
That's it.
This is so helpful, because so many people listening, you're incredibly talented. You built amazing businesses. We had a conversation recently with a very successful home builder struggling with, is there value in my business? And I think this is where you can be so helpful to so many business owners. If the perspective, and I want to be careful, you're way more successful than I am, so I'm not giving you advice. What I think is happening here too is objectivity versus you in the middle of it. I wish I had that objectivity. I didn't seek that kind of counsel when I did own my own business, to say, you don't have to see a vision for Collins Interiors 100 years from now, but if you build it with the vision that it exists, the Strasburger and Price, or you think about any law firm, most of those lawyers that founded it, they don't live anymore. Mm-hmm. That brand was transitioned to that name, not that person. And what an exciting opportunity for you to be living in both worlds of Collins Interiors that you have built with your blood, sweat, and tears, and talented people around you. And then Blueprint, where you get to literally see almost a mirror image. This one is really started from a brand from the beginning. This one has your name on it. So what a unique and exciting opportunity that you have.
The other thing I would say is that we go back to the very beginning when Doug asked, well, what do you tell your clients? How do you present or sell? What is it that you do at Collins Interiors? And you described this idea of, I'm going to sit with the client. I'm going to understand who they are. I'm going to understand how they live. I'm going to understand, what they want their environment to be like. And there's a brand in there, right? And so now how do you take all the things that you've spent your entire career learning, developing, and put systems and scale around them so that they can be repeatable to generations of designers that come behind you? That's the opportunity. And I think as we all get a little older, like in the early days, it's just, you're just grinding.
Right. You're just working.
But then you're just working. But then as you get older, you're like, okay, there's an opportunity to impart, at True North, we think, man, wouldn't it be cool if one day, and this is not for any ego or any kind of monetary gain or whatever, but wouldn't it be great one day if the industry sort of looked at what we created and said, that's the model.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do wealth management, that's the way you do it. You just replicate what those guys at True North have done.
Well, that's absolutely, that's the way you want to do an interior design. You want to execute on how you described what is the essence of interior design. Mm-hmm. Cynthia, it's not lost on me one bit. We generally like to kind of, as we kind of draw this part of the conversation to a close, you're in a room full of 100 women and they're wondering if they want to start a business. What would you challenge them with? What pragmatic, aspirational, how would you challenge them to think through from the perspective of your journey and what you've had the privilege to be a part of?
You've got to have a business plan. You've got to figure out your goals, even if it's 1 year, 5 year, 10 year. Get a real good game plan of what you're trying to achieve. Make sure your idea can make money. Like, is it even, there's
hobby or is it a business?
Right. Because there's a lot of people that are coming up with ideas, but you're not going to get very far with them.
Yep.
I would tell them to not be scared of hiring others as soon as you get your feet wet and you start making money. I think fear of a lot of these businesses don't have a lot of backing.
Yep.
And so you make money, you spend money, you make more money, you spend more money, and your business grows. In a small business.
Neither one of your businesses you got funding for.
No.
Correct.
No. So as this is going about, I think a lot of people have a fear of, if I hire someone, how am I going to afford it? And then I'm absolutely committed to this person. But in reality, it's your lifeline. You cannot do all these things alone. You cannot make your dreams for your business come true alone. You've got to keep adding and keep adding. As soon as you get that person trained, you've got to hire another one and get that person trained in order for your goals to be achieved. And I think I waited a little too long to hire someone, and I was working too hard. I was going into my office till midnight after I put the kids to bed. Mm-hmm. And I could have afforded, looking back on it, I think I was reacting in fear a little bit of beginning to grow that. And I think the more you grow and you get the right people, your business is way better than it would have been if you had just sat there and grinded. They have wonderful ideas, and when you can collaborate on these ideas, you're going to be better, they're going to be better, and your business is going to be better.
I don't think any of us can say it any better than that. Whether you're watching or listening to Decision Points, Cynthia, beyond grateful for you sharing your journey and story with Scott and myself, and anyone listening. And don't let fear drive you. Take risks. Good things can happen.